Hey, this is Alfred Edmond Jr. Welcome to the latest edition of Beyond the Hype. And we have a really special program today because we have multiple entrepreneurs to have a really powerful discussion. Let me start off by kind of setting up what the hype is. The fitness industry has been one of the hardest hit industries by COVID. And it's complicated by the fact that African American, Black, and Brown communities are also being hit hardest by the health issues that's being revealed by COVID. In the middle are fitness entrepreneurs, in this case, African American fitness entrepreneurs, who on the one hand are under tremendous pressure to stay in business in an environment where small businesses like gyms and other businesses are closing down by the hundreds, if not the thousands, and African American owned businesses are closing down at either a higher rate. On the flip side, it's the gyms in particular, but other fitness businesses are often the hardest to reopen and still stay within the guidelines of social distancing and masking and other things, the people being able to participate safely. And caught in the middle are entrepreneurs in this space. We have a great panel of people to have this conversation. We have Alan Boomer, who owns several gym franchises, both major gyms as well as boutique franchises. We have Jody Brockington, who is a personal trainer, not only for individuals, but corporations with corporate wellness programs. And we have Cornell Conaway, who is the owner of Gain Sports Gear, which is a maker of equipment and apparel for athletes, schools, and all of these businesses, all these entrepreneurs have been impacted by everything that's going on, just like the rest of us have. So welcome, Alan, Jody, Cornell. Thanks for being with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So I want to start by asking you in turn this question. What has been the biggest adjustment, and let me start with Jody, to your approach to this your fitness business as a personal trainer, as a corporate trainer, as a result of COVID? Were you shut down totally? Or was it a lot of adaptation? What's different? Is it better? Is it worse? What's happening with you?
Well, I think the industry is probably best for those who are personal trainers. As soon as COVID hit, everyone who I ever trained before Zoom and Skype and FaceTime was popular outside of the US, and even a lot of my clients who traveled were hitting me up like there was like no tomorrow because the gyms had closed and they didn't know what to do. So, but I was like, well, I'm not really doing that full time like I was before when I was taking care of my dad. Like, it's not my job anymore. So then it was trying to connect them to either smaller gyms, folks that had programs that were outdoors already, where there was not going to be a problem and they could be an add-on, or helping them put together personalized programs for them to work on, to work out on their own, like to stay fit on their own. I think corporation-wise, those who have gyms internally, because they also try to keep their, workers working, and at the office, that also became an issue because those were the first things that they started to close as well, and then offices completely shut down. I think it was the idea that most companies took the approach of no longer actual fitness, but looking more at health, right? So making sure you're going to eat right and do other things versus the actual jumping up and down, sticking to things that you can do in your house, like still track your walking. But I do think that they just didn't know what to do. And I'm a member of Equinox, and they actually stayed open quite a bit later than other gyms, but definitely started doing social distancing. So a gym or a cycling room that would have 40 bikes, they would only allow 20-person capacity. They weren't allowing you to take showers there. Like all the extras, like the reason to go to a gym were kind of going away unless you're going to the rough, tough gyms like you go to, Alfred, where you're just there to knock some people out, get a few pounds in and go. Some of us look for like social reasons as well as some pampering, right? A spa day, a moment in the steam room. So everyone started to adjust. But definitely those who seem to be hit hardest, like, if you're a member, you could find some place to do. A lot of people had a Peloton bike already or something at home, so they could quickly shift. But a whole company that was doing that, I mean, even Equinox now is trying to figure out, they're slowly but surely bringing some gyms back, but it seems to be the ones that had a lot of space. And I'm sure Alan will speak to this a lot more in terms of just the idea of what can make people still feel comfortable. You still want to keep your health up. No one wants the COVID-15, which is really turning into the COVID-50, and the tailors will tell us. But it's the idea of how can you make that shift, still stay healthy, and a lot of it turned into mental health. So I think we're seeing a shift in that it's not about, you have to do a power 90, kill yourself Tabata every day, but it's just part mental health, part physical health, and really the kitchen is where you stay fit. So that's been my shift with a lot of my clientele. And I've been doing some free fitness classes virtually for the folks at my company at DTCC, in addition to anyone who I've ever worked with before. So Shape Up NYC is free for in all boroughs. So anyone who ever took my class from Brooklyn to Harlem to Manhattan, they have access to see me. And then I opened it up to my company, knowing that a lot of them were sitting at home too, trying to figure out what to do. So I was doing a morning and an evening, since everyone was trying to balance their kids, their life, the wife, the husband, the extra parents, and just trying to find what would work for them. So I don't think that there's one solution. I think that there's going to be many, but there will definitely be those who are going to be hurt in the consistent, and the place that they started at is not going to be what it's going to be later. So it's just, you have to be flexible, literally, and to make this work.
So Jody, you make an important point. I think it's going to probably come up a couple of times during this. For some businesses and even some people in this industry, it's actually created opportunities, not just the prices. We all know about the prices and opportunity.
Right, I'm happy.
At the same point. Cornell, talk about what has meant for your business. I mean, obviously, gyms, people who go to gyms were a big part of your strategy, before COVID. Tell me how your business has been affected, and talk a little bit about what you actually make and sell.
Okay.
So our audience has kind of a context.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks again for allowing me to be on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I am the owner of Gain Sports Gear, which is a manufacturer of elite and unique fitness equipment. So we make wrist wraps, knee sleeves, elbow sleeves, resistant bands, lever belts. And I'm fortunate enough to have our items actually placed into several different gyms here in Maryland. We're actually in 12 different gyms between Maryland and PA. They carry our grips, our wristbands, and so on. So the biggest thing was, because just like Jody was saying, when the gyms shut down, that really hurt us because, people weren't working out in the gyms. So they really didn't need for the lever belt, especially the power lifters, because they couldn't get to the, to the real weight, right? So we had to transition. We had to figure out what can we do that would help out with more so the home workouts. And that's what we came out with, the strength bands. And that really propelled the business. That kind of got us out of the doghouse, because what we noticed is that a lot of companies was price gouging for the elastic bands. So I said, you know what, this is an opportunity to actually come out with a great product at an affordable price that people would definitely need. Men and women would definitely need to do their total body workouts in home. So now, they're buying. I have a lot of trainers that are now purchasing these strength bands because, they can use them at home or use them at the gym.
Yeah, this has been like a real revolution for anything dealing with resistance bands as opposed to actual weights, because they're compact, they're portable. You get good resistance. It's not like you can't really build muscle with them.
Right.
And you talk about price gouging. I went to just try to get a couple of extra weight plates for my home gym because I'm trying to add weight. And there were like 2 10-pound plates left.
Right.
It was wiped out. So and whoever has anything left, they're charging your arm and a leg because they know that you can't get those.
Exactly.
So resistance bands have been a lifesaver.
Yes.
Alan, talk about what this means for gym owners. And I literally just found out yesterday that my gym just announced they may never reopen. They've been around for 13 years. They were routinely rated as the best gym in the county for most of those years. And one of my friends who's a personal trainer there said she just got word that they may never reopen again. Talk about the realities of gym ownership now in this environment and what it's going to take for it to adapt and survive, Alan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I think this is a great conversation. The first thing I'll say is, so I'm an owner of big box gyms. I'm also involved with one smaller location and a smaller, more of a niche concept. The big box gym is in trouble today. You know, this is an industry that I've been involved in for the last 6 years. And I got in and I felt like there was a high barrier to entry, meaning it costs X dollars to get in. Not so many people are going to open up gyms. And that's not the case anymore. You know, there's been, if you think about the last 6 years, a lot of retailers that are mid-sized retailers have gone under. They've opened up real estate spaces and landlords have said, you know what, we should put a gym there. You know, and I think about the town where I live in New Jersey. My whole life, we had one gym for a town of 40,000 people. Today, my town has like 4 or 5 gyms, you know, and so it was already a competitive environment for gyms. One of the competitors that's become, you know, even more of a competitor today is people that work out outside of the gym, right? Like, because gyms have been closed, folks are figuring out, hey, I can work out through Zoom. I can work out with a personal trainer where he or she is working out of their home, or I could go to the park with a group of folks. And that's a challenge for the gym industry, you know, because there's already too many gyms. There's already gym owners that are struggling. And I'll tell you, you know, this is the literally the perfect storm for a gym, is the idea that, you know, you don't want people crowded in there, because every gym thrives on having a crowd. They thrive on saying, I've got a lot of people. They thrive on the energy of being in the gym, you know, and it's sad, man. Like I like to open up a big box gym, you know, in my experience, it costs anywhere between $1 million and $2 million. I'm involved in 4 big box gyms, and we had to close one for good earlier this year, you know, because we were already with the landlord, you know, just a little bit behind. And then when COVID hit, it's like, man, this is like the perfect storm, because we still have bills to pay. Like I still have to pay my utilities. I still have to pay my rent. I still have to pay my bank loan, but I've got 0 revenue coming in. In the state of Maryland, where most of our gyms are located, the Attorney General said, look, if you're not open, you can't collect membership dues. And so you're going to see a huge number of gyms close down. The gym that we closed, we had to liquidate the equipment, and, you know, people snatched it up like that. Like, we sold out, like, all the weight plates, all the dumbbells, all the ellipticals and spin bikes. Like, it was sad, you know, it was sad. Some people came up, you know, they got, you know, some good buys at our expense, but that's the reality of the gym business today, is that, you know, a lot of states won't allow gyms to open up still. In New Jersey, where I live, you cannot open your gym. States like Maryland, where I'm an investor, they let you open up, but with really, really big, really tight restrictions. And there's a lot of gym owners who were upset with the governors. You know, they're cursing out Phil Murphy and the governor of North Carolina. Like, why won't they let the gyms open? But in reality, like, we got to think about people's safety. You know, as much as I hate that I've lost money, I'd rather not lose lives. Like, I don't want people to die over it, you know, but it's unfortunate. You know, I think the government needs to do something for the big box gym owner, because a lot of these gyms are going to go away. Like, I think it's going to go back to the old school where there was one gym in town, you know, because a lot of these folks are just not going to make it.
You know, one of the conflicts that I, as a bodybuilder and as a fitness enthusiast, what you wrestle with is the whole reason you're doing this for most of us is health reasons. You want to be fit, you want to be healthy. And, you know, and before I found out that my gym may not reopen, I was really wrestling with this. I'm committed to this, but how ironic would it be if I go back and I get sick because I went to the gym? And I know, you know, a lot of gym owners, even in states where the gyms have been allowed to open with, you know, at least fewer restrictions, that everybody has some kind of restrictions, they're also dealing with clientele that's saying, you know, I've gotten used to working out at home. I've gotten used to working out outside. My gym membership money, I'm now investing in buying home equipment. You see on Instagram, these really tricked out garages that people are really investing. Talk about the mindset challenges. Jody, you touched on it, but any of you can weigh in. Talk about the mindset challenges of the customer base now, who, even if you could go back, many customers are like, I'm not sure. And I'm 60, so I'm technically in that borderline high risk group based on age. And I got to think, did I do all of this work over the last 20 years to be this healthy only to get sick?
But you're not in that
gym
group for
prematurely.
not for I'm gonna say not for body fat percentage, man. You're not 60.
Yeah. But talk about the mindset challenges of trying to serve a consumer base that is in a totally different space than where we might have been 8 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely someone going to the gym to the last day when Governor Cuomo was like, no more. I mean, you had to almost like drag people out. I think most people, even frustrated with, going to the gym and maybe not being able to get into your class because they had made them smaller, people were still in the mind, like we were still in our same fitness mindset of, I go just about every day. I get it in at this. I take this on Wednesday, this on Tuesday, this on Thursday. I'm seeing my trainer on this. There was a flow. And then once that flow stopped, you were like, oh. And then the other part is, yeah, it's a health thing. So, similar to, I'd say, the travel industry, specifically, flights and all of that, how clean was the gym before we started going, that we weren't really thinking. I mean, I chose Equinox because I choose gyms by cleanliness, and the classes and then the community that will be there. So I had done enough gym research where I felt pretty okay touching things. But now that they tell you can't touch this, you got to wear this, definitely the mask stuff definitely put a mindset change. And then I think even a money set change of a mindset of, well, I'm going to save that money every month. And I know how to work out at home because I train people on how to do that. So I can do that. I do boot camps out. So it was just like, well, then it was, how do I still stay fit myself? And then how do I keep others that I know will have some challenges fit as well? And I must say that Alan, I know that that's definitely the challenge of, how do you go back in? And for fitness instructors who teach at a gym, part of their persona and who they are is associated with that gym, with that cycling. Like, oh, that's that Soul Cycle guy. That's that, woman at Peloton. That's the one who goes to New York Sports Club. Like, people associate part of your brand with that gym or that location. And I think people in the fitness world who are on the instructor side, not even owning the gym, were like, like deers in headlight. It's just like as if you lost your job and it was never coming back. And it hasn't come back. So I think there's some of that, and everyone tried to scramble who, I think fitness instructors that had a good following had a better chance, but if they still weren't tech savvy, couldn't get the Zoom up quick enough, they lost almost all their following just as quickly like you, Alan, lost all of your people who could go to the gym and stay at the gym. And then even Cornell with you had to switch really from a B2B model to a B2C model. And not everyone knew how to buy those straps and get the weights, and people were running out of things and no one wanted to wait. So that immediate gratification that humans desire just left this whole industry so quickly. But I was also concerned with us as a community and our health issues. So how can we do that? Not just for those of us that are in this business, but we are dying the fastest. The mask wearing, the health issues we had before, and COVID just being such an impact. So to me, I'm just trying to do whatever it is, even with you, Cornell, would love to figure out how with my next sessions coming out, I can promote people to buy your stuff. Alan, I wish I knew that you were selling your bikes. I would have bought one. I still need one. So I do think that there's going to be a bigger industry in people buying stuff and figuring out space of their own. And what that looks like, but really it's still up for grabs. And I feel like in terms of the gym situation, can you turn those gyms into outdoor things? But we can only have so much outdoors in places like in the Northeast where there will be a winter. I mean, right. I'm crazy and I do participate in a boot camp that does take place in the rain, snow, sleet, and hail. But you have to be up for that. Not everyone can do that. So how do you find that? And Alan, I'm really hoping that for folks like you that are the gym owners can come up with some cool model where people can feel safe and have enough space to still participate, because that's still an important part of our human experience.
You know, we're going to, before this conversation is over, is jump even more deeply into what Jody just foreshadowed in terms of the health issues affecting our communities. But you know, I want to throw this to you, Cornell. You serve a clientele that's like me. Like, if this happened, it wasn't like, am I going to train or I'm not going to train? It was like, no, I'm training. I'm like,
Right.
this is not stopping. I had my coach right away create a routine for home. I told him, this is what I got at home. This is what I need to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to compete this year, but I got to stay in competition shape. And so you're dealing with at least a part of your clientele is like some of them are pros, or they're amateurs striving to be pros, or they're, you know, so they're going to train, but now you have to reach them and serve them in a different way.
Right.
You know, outside of the gym, like you don't have a natural distribution platform anymore. What did you do to get to people like me who now are training at home or training in our garages or whatever?
Right. So that's where we really had to partner with, like what Jody was saying, with some of the trainers that would actually be training you, right, virtually. So like she said, just to kind of piggyback on what she was saying, as far as the ones that were more tech savvy, that was able to do the Zooms, right? Those are the ones that we kind of partner with to make sure that they were using our items when they were, you know, doing their boot camps, or if they were, like you would more so have like a strength trainer, right? So, you know, we partnered with some of the strength trainers that were training the bodybuilders for the NPC tournaments or the OCB. And that way we could still get our gear out in front of the customers such as yourself. So, I mean, if anything COVID has taught me as a business owner is that you gotta collaborate. You gotta collaborate. You can't do it yourself. You can't. If not, you know, you're gonna go out of business.
No doubt. So Alan, you're an investor, and you know, first I would say and foremost, that's how you became a gym owner. And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but your analytics of industries and how they work is really phenomenal. What do you think is going to be the new model, if you will, for what we used to call gyms? And you mentioned you have a different model that's not a big box model, that you also have a franchise. But what do you think, at least in the foreseeable future, a quote unquote gym that can thrive in this environment is going to look like?
Yeah, sure. I think the gym of the future is just more differentiated. It's more, it's partly virtual. I think there's more than just, you know, Jody, you hit on this. It's not just what you do, it's also what you eat. I think there will be a lot more focus on nutrition. So one of the businesses that I'm involved in, it's the Max Challenge. The Max Challenge, the locations in West Orange, New Jersey. And that business is all about three things. It's about fitness, but it's also about nutrition and motivation, all designed to give people results, you know. And that's the model, I think, of the future, is folks that are getting more attention on things beyond the exercise. I think more personal accountability, more motivation, more you know, using wearables. You know, like my wife, for example, every day she's got a goal to hit 10,000 steps by, you know, 12 noon. You know, she's trying to make sure she earns all her points. I don't even know all the different things that she's tracking, but, you know, I think it's a model that incorporates those things. The good news for entrepreneurs is that a lot of this stuff doesn't cost a lot. You know, like, as I mentioned, the gym business used to have a high barrier to entry. You know, you needed $1 million plus to open a gym. You know, today with technology, you can be in the fitness industry for a much lower expense. And then with COVID, you can go national, you could go global, you could have clients all over the country and be working from your house. I mean, that's a game-changing moment for the entrepreneur who's ready.
You know, you make a good point. My coach is in Maryland. I mean, he's been a longtime friend of mine. I'll say his name, Yanni Schaumburger. I'm sure you guys know him, or, you know, I'm sure you know him, Cornell. But we've never been in the same state. He's always got me on Zoom to look at my physique and tell me if I'm ready or not. So, and, you know, for some entrepreneurs, they're like, I've had to make a shift, but it hasn't been that huge a shift. And it sounds like it's like the rest of the world. the gym is not going to be a physical place anymore. Just like work is not a physical place. Our offices is not a physical place anymore. With all of that said, and again, I want to make sure we spend some time on this, what Jody and all of you in one way or another has raised, the degree to which health, fitness, and the disparities and issues that we have around fitness, nutrition, exercise, and the fallout that we're seeing with rates of hospitalization and death due to COVID in Black and brown communities, that hits to the heart of all of us, because, you know, my passion for fitness is not about just what I look like in the mirror. It is about this idea that we need to be able to extend our lives. In my case, extend my earning years, build wealth over time. Most wealth is built after age 50. And if you're not living long enough to be sick, you're not going to get there. Talk about, and I'll start with you, Jody, what this means for a Black community that needs to figure out ways to close these healthcare disparities. And it's going to be a multi-generational challenge.
Well, I think for those who often were not going to a gym, they're going to see that motivation that Alan was talking about of, well, everyone's sitting around their house now, not because they have to or choose, like there's no other real choice. We're not just sitting around. I mean, some of us are still working, but home, right? So a lot more still. So hoping that that will turn more into health issues, back to how you're cooking, what you have access to though, but that I'm concerned about food access. You know, there were already food deserts and things that were impacting communities of color already, right? So the bodega syndrome, but the bodega is not going to be the first one who's going to get an order anymore. And even people like large box stores like Walmart, their deliveries are, everything's later. So it's going to take a lot more planning, which is usually what leads to weight gain in terms of food and eating and what's just there. I can say I probably have more food in my house than I ever do, and it's kind of overwhelming to me. But it's like, I don't want to run out of the nuts that I eat and the juices I want, and, you know, so, but it's definitely planning. I'm definitely not someone who's like Alan's wife with any kind of wearables. I just know by how my food, what I'm eating and how my clothes are or are not fitting, right? Like what's not working here. Sleep though, I still think it's going to be our best friend. Even Vashti McKenzie spoke to our group about just what the next new normal will be, and to actually take a moment to use some of this downtime to allow your body to readjust. And because a lot of the weight gain also has nothing to do with what we eat or exercise. A lot of it is the mental health, things that are sitting on us, weighting us down, that if you have time to work on, which we do now, some of that too should also lift. So I think that whole new model that Alan was talking about could really be that thing. And I do believe that gyms can be those partners, because Cornell brought up that idea of collaboration. So the Shape Up NYC partnership was really between Equinox, a healthcare provider, so like a United Healthcare or an Aetna, I don't remember who, and New York City Parks. So if other cities take that under, and it was to help those who did not really have money to go to a gym, but they were getting the same classes you would get at an Equinox by volunteers like myself, who would teach these classes. And so we weren't going inside a lot of times, or sometimes we were just using a church, a community center. So finding those, but it could still be one of Alan's gyms that's the partner who's providing the fitness instructor. It could be the Cornells that give you the equipment that you need. I also think gyms that have excess equipment that's going unused should think about renting. You know, we have City Bike. I would rent, not a Peloton so much, I don't really like those, but I'd rent some bike, right? Or some equipment that I don't want to keep forever. And you know how equipment just changes and things get better. So I only want that resistance band for so long, and then I need the harder one, and the one that gets, because I'm going to get stronger, right? So are there some ways to recycle those? Are there things? So I've been thinking about this a lot, as you can see. That's why I don't sleep. But it's the idea of what can we do so that everyone can not just survive, but thrive monetarily, and then also with your health. So that whole health and wealth piece going hand in hand. But can we come up with our own solution, not just for our own people, but for everyone to be healthier and wealthier? And so being this part of Black enterprise, that's always been part of the heart of Black enterprise, is not just business, creating next generation of wealth and the connectivity of people in our community to help each other to move forward. And that's the only direction we should all be going, is forward, right? There's only forward. We don't want to go back. We can't.
None of this going back to normal, because I'm not trying to do that. There's a better normal that we just got to find. Another thing, Alan, Cornell, anybody can weigh in on this. I have been encouraged over the last 6 months about the degree to which people really are talking about protecting their immune systems and what they can eat. And as was said, there's more to fitness than just working out in the gym. There's more to fitness than being able to run, 10 miles a day.
Right.
So much has been about body shaming, and I got to try to be an extreme athlete to be fit. When Jody said, a lot of it is get more sleep, watch what you're putting into your body. And I've never heard the degree of conversation on social media and off social media every day. People talking about, oh, my immune system, and I gotta get vitamin D, I gotta do this. And some of it is misleading marketing,
Right.
being sold or marketed around this is just because they know people are thinking about it. But I do think it's a good thing, and I'd like to get you guys to weigh in on this idea that people are now thinking about what it means to be healthy and fit in a very different way than, say, before Corona.
I just think this, just from my standpoint, it's funny, Alfred, because I was speaking with a friend today just about being healthy, the things that she was eating. She said that she's put on at least maybe 30 pounds since COVID. And it's just because she just has a tendency to just nibble all the time because she's just in the house. So it's like, how can we change these lifestyle changes to basically get them in a mind space of, okay, listen, instead of eating the Doritos or the cupcakes, how can we switch that out for fruit, right? So it's those whole lifestyle changes would definitely have to take a play when we're dealing with, eating better, because like you say, health is wealth. And as for the immune system, this is where I kind of want to talk to my man that owns the gym, because I feel like my immune system is so much better when I'm on the treadmill at the gym, So it's like I feel so much better when I'm at the gym, and working, getting my immune system, building it up because I'm doing the cardio. So if I could, respectfully pass it on to him to see what he thinks about it, I would love to hear his viewpoint on that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And when I said the future of the gym is a new gym, I hope there will still be traditional gyms.
Please.
The issue though is I don't think there can be as many. Like you see this, Cornell. There's gyms everywhere. Like we have a retro fitness in Catonsville, right outside of Baltimore, and in Catonsville, there used to be a gym that was there since the 70s, right? Bally's, and that was the community gym, and like everybody knew Bally's. And when they went under, then it became LA Fitness, and then when it became us. And when we moved in, people were so excited that we were there. But then right across the street, another gym opened up, and right down the street. And the issue is there were too many. I hate to say it, there were just too many. You're now starting to see shopping centers where they're like, look, I don't even want a gym in here anymore. Where before, everybody wanted a gym, So I think the crazy thing is the gyms that make it are the gyms that either A, did a great job of retaining their members by being innovative, doing things through technology, doing things to just stay connected to the people, which is very hard to do in a big box format because it's thousands of people. And the second is the person that was the best capitalized, the folks that had the most money in the bank, right? Because this is now a game of survival in the gym business, right? Like you might have gotten a PPP loan. That's only enough to cover your payroll for, 2.5 months. You might have been able to, kind of make it a little while with that, but, unless you've got some money and some innovation, there's going to be a lot less gyms. Because the other challenge to the gym, you know, and I appreciate your point about the treadmill, is the idea that every gym, every big box gym, and our gyms are, you know, in some cases 20,000 square feet. The Catonsville gym is 20,000 square feet. You have to have a minimum number of members in order for that business to stay alive. If you don't have, you know, a few thousand members, you can't pay your bills. Like, you literally cannot pay your bills. So that's why I'm saying, like, there's going to be people, even when the governor says we can go back to full capacity, there's going to be the people that look at it with a side eye, you know, and I think Black folks are the main ones. We're going to be the ones looking at it with a side eye. You know, I'll tell you, there's a lot of businesses that are opening up, not because they think it's good to open up. They're opening up for their pockets. Like, I look at my kids' school. My kids' schools are opening up this fall. It's because they want to justify that tuition. My kids are in private school. And I think a lot of gyms want to open up because they want to justify those membership dues. But in reality, there's going to be a lot of skepticism and a lot of folks just aren't going to make it. And it's unfortunate. Like, the most unfortunate thing is if people lose that motivation. Because, like, one of the things that I'm really proud of that I'm seeing in social media right now is folks working out together. Like, hey, let's do this challenge together. Like, I was in a challenge with folks that I went to college with, Morgan State, and folks are like, hey, let's do 25 push-ups, 25 dips, 25, you know, sit-ups. Let's do this, and then we're going to escalate to 50 next week and 75. And I'll tell you, I've never seen a more committed group of folks than that group accountability that used to take place in the gym, and now it's taking place virtually. So I don't think the gym's going away. I just think it's going to be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, the biggest benefit, personally for me, of a gym wasn't, I mean, you had a wide variety of equipment and you know, I mean, but it was really with the community, the sense of community. Like, I worked out by myself most of my life. I didn't join a real gym until my late 30s. And I'm fine working out by myself at home because I'm not really that dude that really needs a lot of people around me. But what I miss about my gym, which I've been a member of like maybe 10 years, were the people that I knew, who I knew I was going to see. And, you know, some people I've seen their kids grow up. They were like junior high school and they're in college now. And I'm like, oh, how's your kid doing? And so you're right. I'm looking at brand new Facebook groups. I just joined a group called Fit Black Men Over 40. Those guys are serious. I mean, they're like, every day, this is what I ate today. This is what I'm doing today. They're posting pictures of themselves. So you're right. That sense of community is just moving to new platforms, and you know, entrepreneurs and professionals who can move with that group can still benefit both lifestyle-wise as well as entrepreneurs, I think.
Right.
So listen, a final word from each of you. What would you like to see happen? And again, we don't have crystal balls for Black and brown communities in particular, as we navigate the health and fitness challenges that are affecting this industry, but more importantly, affecting our people. What are some of the things I think we need to focus on? Maybe one or two things from each of you.
I would just like to see the momentum to keep going. You know, a lot of times in our community, a lot of things become cliche. You know, it's the right now, but you know, the consistency is, and the pull through is not there. So I'm just hoping that, you know, everybody's on this health kick because of COVID. I would like to see, especially within our community, I would like to see that be consistent and keep going. Like saying, like the challenges keep going, you know, building up the immune system. So, of course, I would love to have some type of normalcy. I would love that to come back, please. But if we can just keep on being consistent, you know, I think we'll be okay.
Excellent.
Pray for it.
Jody?
Yeah.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, most of the people I'm staying in communication with and speak to about health stuff are my gym crew, right? From the instructors who I still support because they're charging for their Zoom session, which is fine. You know, they're not charging a lot, and they're, you know, if you can make the donation, some are doing donation, but I'm going to support them and promote them and market them like I would anyone else. When I was teaching, there were, you know, I was doing self-care packages for people who were participating, and if they participated enough and I saw their, you know, it wasn't like you had to be the one whose leg was going up the highest, it was the motivation and the energy being put forth to the group. So then I was doing that to support my other entrepreneurial friend with her company, which is now growing in COVID because of some of that promotion. So that's why I said, with Cornell and Alan, if there's stuff that can be promoted, I think we need to do that. And I do believe that people are thinking about health differently. I think there's different kind of challenges. I definitely have seen a lot more men challenging each other more about the push-ups. I don't really see that as much in the, I must say I'm not an upper body girl, but it's just the idea that people are keeping it in the mindset. I think also because you're around your kids, people who have children. I'm not one of those, but those who do are definitely also watching what they eat a little bit more. You have a little bit more, cause to see what's going in and out of a household. And like I said, back to that planning, but I do think that we need to not make it of a, what's going on right now and how we're going to solve this for now. That what Cornell was saying is that this has to be a forward moving movement of momentum, of motivation in this space, that it doesn't stop here, that this is like a restart for us to think about ourselves and for people to really promote, when you can go to a doctor or find out from a nutritionist, what works for you, Alfred, might not work for me. Everyone does need different vitamins, different supplements, other things. We all do need to sleep. We all do need to eat. Not everyone needs 3 meals. Some people need 5. Some people need that snacking. But yes, instead of a cake or whatever, I'm always like, well, if you catch me snacking, it's going to have noise, like a carrot, some snap peas, some cucumbers. People think I'm crazy, but I actually like those things. So that some things haven't changed. It's what I have access to now that changes. So I'm not going to the store as much, or something's not available, right? So having more alternatives and being able to put those out there more, eat this instead of this, or eat this and or this, it'll give you the same thing. And finding cost-effective ways to do that. So when they are going back to the gym, they know what should actually go in a smoothie. So just because you can make a smoothie in a blender does not mean it's what you should be blending. Like bananas are not that good for you. There's too much sugar, right? But it's better than a cupcake if you're looking at what kind of sugar, right? But people don't know how to read labels. So like if we could do some more of that education piece, so that when people are the consumer, they're getting the better stuff for them. Because I love when people are like, oh, I'm making smoothies, Jody. And I'm like, well, what's in it? And the first 3 things are banana, pineapple. And I'm like, those are the highest on the glycemic scale. Like you're diabetes. Like, I don't get it. It's back to the marketing, right? But if I know
we could
that.
do a whole nother session on that, because
right,
most,
no, but I'm saying,
people, most of what they see on labels is nothing but marketing.
Gym, they only have healthy smoothies. There's no bananas. Like I go to places that's supposed to be healthy and there's not a smoothie, but maybe 2 that doesn't have a banana. Right. And I'm like, can you replace that with an avocado? Can you replace that with some cauliflower? I know it doesn't taste the same, but you got to change. This is the time to change your palate, learn how to make things a little healthier. I'm not saying like, you can't go, I'm not telling you to go from bacon to, whatever that burger. What I'm saying, go from bacon to half a slab to a couple of slices to a pork loin to something that starts to get healthier, right? To chicken maybe, or to beef, but you have to do it mentally. But also you have to, in the sense that not everything's going to be available forever either. So we're starting to see some of that too. But I really do think collaboration is what's going to allow us to get better at all of this. And I do think the gym will be that in the future.
Alan.
Jody, I really love my bananas in my smoothie. You really messed me up with that.
So I guess Jody's also saying I shouldn't put a slice of pizza in my smoothie either.
I think so, brother. I think so.
They know bananas, and suddenly the world gets so small. There's thousands of fruits. There's strawberries and berries and stone fruits, things that are just healthier for you guys. I swear. Yeah. You only need a slice of banana to taste it. So just put a finger slice and you're good. It's in there.
I love it. Yeah. On that note, so I'll leave you guys with 3 comments. The first, one thing that I've been really happy to see is how the Black community is really rallying and coming together during COVID, and really just talking about a lot of positive values. Like one of the things I see in the money side is folks saying, let's do a boycott of, non-Black vendors. Let's do a boycott and let's start buying Black. I want to see some health boycotts. I want to see folks say, you know what, I'm not going to drink soda and I'm going to stop my parents from drinking soda. Or I'm not going to eat processed food for the month and I'm going to stop my parents. Because the issue is like COVID has attacked people's moms and dads and aunts and uncles. And if there was a movie with a villain and the villain was killing people's moms, nobody would even want to see the movie. Like, it'd be too horrible, but that's exactly what I'm seeing. My timeline is filled with people who've lost moms and dads, and we need to come together and just do better as a people, because a lot of the food industry, the packaged food industry, it's targeting us. You know, like when you go to the grocery store, we're in the middle. We're not on the outsides where the green stuff and the fresh stuff is. We're in there with boxes. And so that's the first thing I hope is that somebody starts a movement. I think maybe whether it be nutritionists or personal trainers, but like get us organized towards boycotting some of this bad food. That's the first thing. The second thing, this is a call to action for the government. This is especially for local governments. There's a lot of communities that are going to lose gyms and these are communities where Black people live. Because as I mentioned, the gyms that are going to make it are the ones that are very well capitalized. There needs to be some focus at a government level, just like the government is bailing out the airlines. They're bailing out, the auto industry. They bailed out the banks in the past. Like, they need to focus on the gym industry, especially in marginalized communities, because there's going to be a time when, there's nothing but fast food in the hood. And right now there's already only a few gyms, and I think it's going to go backwards. The third thing I'll say is, if you're a fitness entrepreneur or an aspiring fitness entrepreneur, this really is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I throw air quotes on the opportunity, because clearly it's a humanitarian tragedy, what's happened. But if you've ever thought about being in the fitness business, now's the best time to get in with the lowest barrier to entry, the least amount of capital required. You've got the most people focused on it. So why not? It's an industry that I got into as an investor because it was an opportunity to help people. Like I have an uncle who's in a veterans health facility. And when I go to see him, it breaks my heart. I haven't been able to see him because of COVID. But when I go, it breaks my heart, because there's folks who their biggest highlight of the day is when the nurse wheels them out so they can get a little sunshine on their skin, but they're in a wheelchair and they can barely move. And I always said to myself, if that person had a chance to go back and do it again, I bet you they would have made some better choices so that they could have a more fulfilling life health-wise. Because at the end of the day, like, we spend a lot of time talking about money, but our real wealth is in our health. Our fullness of life is tied to our ability to enjoy it, right? And we've got to take health, we've got to take diet, we've got to take exercise, we've got to take all of these things a lot more seriously. And again, I think there's a huge opportunity for fitness entrepreneurs today.
Well, you guys really, really hit everything I hope we cover in the course of this conversation. We got it done. Thank you all for being a guest on Beyond the Hype. This is going to be a great episode. It's going to help a lot of people. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Cornell. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's link, guys. I hope we can link up. Let's collab in any way possible.
Thank you, guys. We got to collaborate. I start my classes again on Tuesday, so Cornell, I need to promote your
Gotcha.
gear. Your stuff.
Okay.
I'll
get your contact.
I'll put it in my workout. I don't know, so I'll figure it out.
We'll make it happen.
Covered, Jody.
So this is the latest edition of Beyond the Hype. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.